Good evening and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 113 and I'm continuing the story of the tiger or the jackal. Now remember that Amir Ali had taken up his position with the Raja as a servant who would do any task that he was called to do. And even before being called on this particular task to go see who it was that was wailing out across the river in this brutal storm that was taking place, he volunteered. Now off he went. Now, Amir Ali had never had any fear of witches or evil spirits, for when he had grown up, he'd never encountered anything like that. And so he went down to the river and got across it. Now on the other side, there were gallows. And this is where the wailing was coming from. And on the gallows was a young man who'd been hung for a crime that he had committed. When he got to the other side, he saw that this old woman who was wailing was beneath this young man, and he asked her what he could do for her. Well, she answered that this was her son above her, and if he could in any way help to get him down so that she could bury him properly, she would be eternally grateful. Well, Amir Ali, when he heard her voice and her words, her request, he felt that it wasn't ringing completely true. He was cautious. But he then asked her how she thought it might be accomplished, because it was clear to him that it was going to be difficult. The young man was fairly high up. Well, she answered that if he were to stoop over and allow her to climb onto his shoulders, that she felt certain she would be able to cut him down. Amir Ali again heard within her voice, it seemed enthusiasm for what was about to take place, and more than a melancholy and excitement about what was perhaps to happen next. But he agreed. He agreed to help her, and he knew inside that he needed to proceed with caution. So as he was about to stoop over, he took his sword out of its scabbard, and he pretended to make use of it in order to hold himself up. He bent over, sword being held onto by the hilt, but he was a strong man. He didn't need to be doing that, to be holding himself up by the sword. But he pretended that he was. Now, this old woman sprang up and nimbly climbed onto the back of Amir Ali, and in a moment was up onto his shoulders. And Amir Ali stood up, and as he did, she pulled a rope from out of her cloaks, threw it around his neck, tightened it, swung the end of the rope over the top of the gallows, and grabbed onto the other end and pulled, climbing as it was up the rope in order to put tension on Amir Ali. Now he'd been ready. He brought his sword up and swung it in order to cut the rope. And as he did, not only did he cut the rope, but he cut off the foot of the old woman as well, which it turned out she was a witch indeed. a woman who knew the dark arts, black magic. As her foot was cut off, surprising her immensely, she sounded a hoot that was a scary, scary sound indeed. And like that, she disappeared into the darkness of the night, vanishing not on the ground, but it seemed like into the ethers themselves. Amir Ali sat down, as any of us might have, to collect himself. He was surprised by what he had just been through. And as he sat there, it wasn't too long, but the storm abated, the rain stopped. He collected himself. He put his hands down upon the ground in order to lift himself up, push himself up off the ground. And as he did so, he felt on the ground beneath his hand what seemed like an anklet, an ankle bracelet. And indeed it was. It had fallen off of the witch's ankle as he had cut off the foot. And he picked this up and just placed it in his pocket. And then he made his way back across the river, the raging river, more steadily this time than he had before. Up the hill to the palace he went, and he entered into the king's chamber, and there he told the king his story of what had happened. The king listened intently, as did all the people that were in the king's or the Raja's court. And when he had finished, he took the anklet, the ankle bracelet, out of his pocket and handed it to the Raja. And he looked at it and was amazed. And in fact, Amir Ali was amazed as well, because he had not looked at it before. The jewels that it was made up of were astonishing. They were large, well cut. They shined and sparkled in the light and caught the attention of all who were in the court. The Raja's eyes opened wide. Amir Ali, he wasn't really interested in stones, so it didn't, he thought they were beautiful, but it wasn't like he was attached to them in any way. Well, the court was dismissed. It was late. All went to bed. Amir Ali, he slept well that night. In the morning, the Raja had called his spoiled daughter in to see him. The Raja was always trying to please her in one way or another, but she was one of those people, because she had been spoiled so much in her life, that there was nothing really that you could do to impress her at that point. The Raja could really do nothing to win her favor more than you could with a spoiled child. Someone who has, through maybe not the best of means, always gotten their way. They're never pleased with anything. So he gave her this ankle bracelet, and she loved it and thought it was quite beautiful, and retired to her own chamber to go look in the mirrors and see what it looked like. And she thanked her father. She put it on and began to parade back and forth in front of the mirror, turning from one side to the other to look at herself. It happened that she had two pet birds, a parrot and a starling. And these two birds, intelligent they were, they could converse as humans would, in the language of humans. And as she paraded back and forth, the starling turned to the parrot. Tote was the parrot's name. The starling said, Tote, what do you think of the princess's beautiful new ankle bracelet? Now, Tote was not having a great day. He'd not been bathed. Almost every morning, some of the princess's servants had come in to bathe the parrot. But because she had been called out to receive the bracelet, they had forgotten all about it. And so Tote was, well, in a foul mood indeed. Ah, he said, the princess's bracelet, ankle bracelet, oh my. If you'd asked me, well, she looks like, the washerwoman's daughter, who sometimes comes in with one shoe on and one shoe off. I mean, certainly, if she wanted to look beautiful, she would not have just one bracelet, but two. One for each ankle, you know. Ah, my. Well, the princess heard all of this conversation that went back and forth between the two birds. And with that, she felt this, feeling of not quite enough rise up inside of her. This feeling of wanting more coming up inside of her. She wanted more. She wanted more than that one ankle bracelet. In order to feel complete, certainly she needed two ankle bracelets, one on each. Otherwise, her symmetry would be all off. Well, she took the one off. Carrying it in her hand, she went back to see her father, the Raja, complaining bitterly, as a spoiled child will. She said, oh, Father, I can't live with just one of these ankle bracelets. I need two. And if I do not have two, I will certainly die. She threw the ankle bracelet into the lap of the Raja and off she sped, tears pouring down her cheeks. What was the Raja to do? Certainly he must placate his child. And who was called? Amir Ali. Amir Ali, I need a second bracelet equal to the first for my daughter. And if you are unable to bring me such an ankle bracelet as this one, in 1 month's time, I shall have you hung. So please begin and accomplish this most important task. Thank you, Amir Ali. Let me know, please, if you need anything. And with that, the Raja dismissed Amir Ali, and off he went, now to ponder his fate. How was he to come up with another bracelet like the first? We'll leave the story there. See how he fares with this most difficult task. Okay, thanks for joining, and have a great rest of your day.